down with the issues we raised last week, perhaps the fact that Harry and Meghan went to New York City for a fake royal tour will be mentioned many times by us. And honestly, guys, I'm not going to be able to help but reiterate that what this hypocritical couple did made them even more despised. In the video, as is in the title, I reveal that Harry and Meghan's visit to New York was met with some eye rolls and some sighs of exasperation as the couple arrived in New York for the first time since that near-catastrophic car chase as part of World Mental Health Day to host an event. And not only were they criticized for their strange, inappropriate clothing, Meghan and Harry were also accused of hypocrisy for traveling a short distance in a convoy of 7 gas-guzzling SUVs with a series of NYPD officers. In addition, we got treated to some word salad from Meghan about mental health, but Meghan and Harry's actions are absolutely nil. And we couldn't help but laugh at what Meghan said about children in her little statement. First of all, thank you so much for discussing this video in the comments section, and now I want to take a look at some of the comments that you guys left. But first, I gotta thank the first fan who joined our membership program, Catherine Jordan. Thank you so much for your support, Catherine, and if you haven't checked out our membership program, you can look into it as well. So now let's get to it. Alright, the first comment comes from Catherine Newman. Harry looks as miserable as usual. Time he left her and got back before Meghan. She is no good for him. She has completely ruined his life and been a pain in royal family life. Of course she has. And Kim agrees. And then we've got Jenny. He can still leave and start over. He does not have children to hold him back. Very good point. And if she has anything on him, well, there's nothing he should worry about. No one would believe her for starters. And if it's the gay gossip, so let it be. There's no shame in being gay, which I read yesterday. It's acceptable in society now. You know, I've heard that rumor too, that he's gay or he's bi, and if that really is what is keeping him with Meghan Markle, I mean, my goodness. Harry, just own up to who you are and leave that awful woman. Honestly, if it turns out that Meghan has been blackmailing him because he really is bi or gay or whatever, that's probably better for him. I think people would be able to forgive him for everything. I mean, maybe not everything, but some of it at least. But first, of course, if he expects to be forgiven, he's got to apologize and come out with the truth and leave that nasty woman. And next comment comes from a regular fan, Paula. IMO, this just shows how an attention seeker behaves in public. Whereas when Prince William was in New York City, I'm sure there was more security around, but it was discreetly done. He wanted his message to shine through, not his ego. In my opinion, for these two, it's all about attention and ego, not really about doing good work. Thank you, and thank you, Paula. You are completely right. Prince William is very good at being discreet because he actually wants to give other people a chance to shine. He knows it's not all about him all the time. Meghan and Harry, on the other hand, oh, they just wish that it was about them all the time, and that's why they are such attention seekers. And next comment from Lee Lyle with some really great nicknames. Apparently, Duchess Maggot was crazy rude to her Duke sock puppet during the event. She shoved him away violently whenever someone wanted to shake his hand, and then hugged that person, or she slapped his hand away. Several of those folk didn't want anything to do with her, but she bulldozed forward and forced them to shake her hand before throwing herself at them. Hasnoballs was furious, and you can see this in his body language and his face. His face was thunderous. She ignored him entirely. I mean, that relationship is seriously messed up. If he stays with her, and really at the same time if she stays with him, those two are even sicker in the head than we thought. I think that relationship at this point is certainly abusive. And then Matilda, I think the police car telling the 2 hired cars in the procession were to make sure they left New York before they could pull another stunt. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. Oh, indeed. Thank you, Matilda. And then, Barb, you've got to see the escort. The escort was for the government guy. Vivek, he was a military outfit, maybe Surgeon General. So 3-car convoy, big black SUVs. There were actual cop cars, one in front and one at the end of convoy. Lights on. Turns out, Meg was in small parked SUV. It's against the law to have flashing cop lights. So it's time for cop car to roll in behind Envoy. When it does, a Lexus sedan pulls out from parking space behind the cop car. Then this mysterious SUV pulls out of parking spot, falls in line with the others, and turns on flashing lights. That's a security con. The line of black SUVs, the two top cop cars with flashing lights, the Lexus sedan, a buffer car, then the phony SUV turns on flashing lights as it gets in line. LOL, can you believe it? The buffer car kept police from seeing SUV with flashing lights. So no, cops said no escort. They got no escort. The envoy was for the government guy. Harkles came up with sneaky plan to look like they got the escort. If you go to a couple videos, they have an aerial view as it happens. You can see their scam unfold. Oh my goodness, Barb, thank you for this comment. Well, I know what I'm going to be Googling as soon as I finish this video. Barb, that is some really good information. Thank you for sharing. And this is why I love the community on this channel so much, you guys, because you educate me probably more than I educate you. If I am ever missing a piece of information, I can trust you to provide it. And let's hear what Charlie had to say. I hope for her orange spray tan didn't rub off as ever overdressed. A lot of word salad, surprised, no. Has shows how happy he was being at this event, not. He is well trained by her. It shows the honeymoon is far over. And then Kim agrees, and then we've got Ellen, overdressed, underdressed. Honestly, you guys, I mean, that was such a weird thing she was wearing anyway. It really did look like a straitjacket. So was she overdressed or underdressed or just both? Let's just call it inappropriate and leave it at that, huh? And then Susan, there was no police escort. Mayor Adams refused their request. They hired private SUVs to transport them at 200 feet to the venue and cosplayed their arrival like VIPs. Meghan Markle was dressed and made up completely inappropriately. She looked like she had just rolled in after a night of yacht clubbing. The word salad was stale and wilted. The public display of discard of this one's worth is noting. Ooh, thank you for your comments, Susan. Honestly, I find it so much easier to believe that they hired those SUVs instead of the police providing them. I'm gonna look it up to see what I can find, but I believe you guys. I'm sure you're right about this. And next comment from Jan. Amazing that Harry and his wife actually attended an event that no one, not one person, bought a ticket to. Harry's wife hired 50 relatives from the New York area to attend the staged event that no one purchased tickets to. How does one dress for a pretend event? Well, in Harry's wife's case, you dress inappropriately. Her outfit was more appropriate for an evening in a nightclub, and perhaps that was where she wanted to be. Truthfully, why carry on the event? To try to make everyone believe that they weren't stood up? In addition to all the staged events, she ordered 7 full-sized SUVs to make it look like they had a police escort. Wow, guess they have enough money that when they are stood up, they can make it look like they weren't. Got to have a very fragile ego to be willing to spend that huge amount of money on pretending. Geez, we all know that no one paid to hear you and Harry pontificate on things that you really have no idea about. Of course, nobody would pay for that. I mean, I hope not. I don't even think the most die-hard sugars would pay for that because I think, actually, the most die-hard sugars are paid to be die-hard sugars. And then a comment from Denise. New York police chief denied police escort. Also, the escort was private and the 7 vehicles were only for 1 block. Amazing. The bodyguards were not police. They paid for their own protection. Thank you for confirming what other people are saying, Denise. And then Corgi, couldn't she at least have tidied her hair? And did she think she was going to a red carpet event? Off-the-shoulder bedsheet was absolutely not appropriate for this forum. You know, the more I looked at that weird blazer, as they called it, that she was wearing, the more I wondered, how would she even get into that thing? How would she move her arms? I don't know if there was a zipper in the back or what, but when I was looking at it, I was thinking, if somebody gave me that thing, I wouldn't even know how to put it on. And then Dizzy Chef, she forgot to get dressed and wrapped her sheet around her. Even though the outfit would look adorable in the proper club night out, she dresses for attention, not according to where she's going or the subject of her gathering. People with mental challenges are often in the dark, suicidal, crying, challenged, and getting out. Yet Meghan dresses like she's going to a night out clubbing. What's wrong with you, Meghan? Oh, Dizzy Chef, I have said that last sentence so many times, and I'm still not even close to having an answer. And then Christine, as someone else pointed out, the future King of England goes jogging in Central Park without an entourage, while it takes the Duke and Duchess of Sussex a 7-car entourage. I think the latter qualifies as status signaling, don't you? Well, of course it was status signaling. They're pros at that, as well as virtue signaling. They got it covered when it comes to the signaling of things they're not. And next comment from user DC, how can two people with huge mental health issues be permitted to speak to parents who lost their children? This is a disgrace indeed. Nikki, Meghan Markle once again showed she has Harry right where she wants him, crushed beneath her ill-fitting high heels. Such a somber occasion and message, and she shows up color coordinated with the furniture and flowers. That's showing a real lack of awareness and compassion to people who are suffering and grieving their children. The seatbelt reference was dumb. I mean, every reference Meghan makes is dumb, so we shouldn't be surprised. And then Forza, future king of the United Kingdom, goes for a jog in Central Park with what was probably 2 bodyguards in total. The irrelevant Harkles ride up to an event with 7 vehicles plus taxpayer-funded police. Which of the 3 are their authentic, down-to-earth selves again? Well, I think that answer is clear. And then Wendy says, apparently 2 cop cars, that's all. Big black gas guzzlers were obviously paid for. No NYPD or other plaques on them. MT cars. And Tracy says exactly, and then we've got retired Stitcher. They use all this security to ensure that the public knows how important they are. Laughing all the way too. Why isn't their own paid-for security enough? You would think that it would be, but I guess their own paid-for security doesn't make them look important enough, and that's a real problem for them. 1964 says, I'm surprised New York wanted them back after the last time. What on earth do they need a convoy of 7 when Prince William went jogging and he's next in line for king and took that risk? I would love to know who they think they are. They are of no importance. Anyone with sense would go the opposite direction. You're completely right on all points. And then Lena Love, Meghan, how is your father's mental wellness? Your father had 2 serious strokes and you never went to see him or contact him. You are not qualified to talk about mental wellness. Well, Lena, I hate to break it to you, but she's not qualified to talk about many things that she loves to talk about, mostly telling us how we need to live our lives. Thanks for your comment, though. And let's hear from Virginia. Number 1, trying to copy Prince William's New York trip failed. Number 2, Uber rentals. Number 3, no police escort. Number 4, low attendance. Number 5, not a summit, a Meghan speech. Yeah, 5 very good points that you're making. Thank you, Virginia. Sue Gray, this was not an Archwell event. Archwell hired a 2-hour time slot at someone else's event when William was so well received in New York recently. The Harkles' last-minute involvement is proved by the fact that there is no mention of them in the literature. 2 weeks ago, even, they didn't know they were going. They are always doing everything they can to one-up William and Catherine, and they fall flat on their faces every single time. And then Summer Savage, I don't see Carson Daly anywhere. I don't see the parents of the deceased children speaking either. I just see pics of Harry and Meghan with microphones. Disgusting. And then Joel, they could have walked the less than 2 blocks from where they were to their destination. They entered their cars and pulled out on 33rd and turned left because it is one way. They turned left on 11th down to 30th and turned left, then made a left 2 blocks later onto 33rd. They were literally less than 2 blocks from the destination and chose to drive 7 security SUVs in a 2-block square to get to the venue. They could have stepped onto the sidewalk, turned right, walked less than 2 blocks, and turned right into the event. I just looked at the map and it needs to be the top story. This proves that the cars were strictly for show. They are completely useless and disgusting. Absolutely. And, I think if it were William and Catherine, they would have walked. I mean, they're going to be the king and queen of England, but they're not pompous, arrogant a-holes like Meghan and Harry. And then a comment from Kate London. Hello, Kate. I think the next summit the Harkles PR geniuses should book for them would be the importance of family, love, and loyalty to navigate through life. The Harkles have as much right to host that as to talk about the dangers of online bullying. They know the Sussex squad considers her their queen. Oh, God, I don't even want to think about them. And then Hazel, there is something wrong with this couple, and they know it. If it was not serious, it would be laughable. Honestly, Hazel, I think it's still laughable. And then Lilith, they rented some Ubers for their convoy, and there was one New York City patrol car on standard traffic duty. New York City Protective uses Chevy SUVs, not Denali's or Escalades. Big fat miss again. Very good information to know. And Retired Stitcher makes a really good point in response. It's the impression to the public that's important. Mission accomplished. I'm afraid that you're right. As far as they're concerned, yeah, mission accomplished. And then Kim is laughing. And then Eileen, why a convoy for these grifters? They could have walked it in 5 minutes and no one would have cared or noticed. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. But I think we all know the answer to that. They wouldn't have gotten the attention they are so desperate for if they had walked like normal people would have. And next comment comes to us from Lynn. Ah, the deceitful, devious duo, the listless, lazy laggards, have once more stormed the citadel. They came again, they saw again, but they still haven't conquered anything. Zip, nada, nothing. So they have decided to show up to remind everyone just how grandly important they still are, in their minds, after flatly failing to actually do any of the many things they promised. As usual, they are determined to keep pushing their narrative of who they are rather than what they succeed in doing for others. It's kind of hard to show others how to succeed when you can't. It worked so well last time, she threw down some more money at the city, making sure at least a few people would see them drive around in an entourage. Can they spell entourage? Nothing has changed. It's easy to be forgotten when you don't have a purpose for existing. Has anyone explained to the two of them what having a purpose to exist really means? It's like rhythm. You either got it or you don't, and they don't. Lynn, this is a very well-written comment. Thank you very much for that. It made me laugh, but also you made some really good points. And then Laura, spare me, sick of these clowns. Eileen, I don't want to hear them talking about family pain, nor the moderator discussing not speaking to family. Yeah, how hypocritical could they be? And then Karen, oh, so that's what happened to their children. They lost them to the press. And then Eugenia, does she not know how much she's hated? Either she doesn't know or she doesn't care. I can't figure it out either. And then Sue Johns, why did they go to New York for the Mental Health Day? They could have done the same thing in Los Angeles for World Mental Health Day. Oh, but I forgot. It's to try to outshine Prince William when he was in New York. If these two just did things behind the scenes, then people would actually believe what those two actually do. They are meant to be there to support the families that have suffered with a family member that suffers from mental health issues. Doesn't she realize that her supposed children could end up with mental health problems as they age? Her outfit and hairstyle didn't fit in with this trip. She looked so out of place wearing that outfit, another place where she stood out for all the wrong reasons. See, at this point, I believe it's intentional. She doesn't care if she stands out for all the wrong reasons, she just wants to stand out. And then Susan, it's got to be a prank, them two talking about mental health. Well, it would be believable if the topic was our generous contribution towards damaging the mental health of everyone. Very good point that you're making, Susan. I couldn't agree more. And then Glenda, who in the world would want a cold, skinny, bony hug? Ew, it is a very gross thought, isn't it? And I think that's why everybody looks so uncomfortable when she goes in for the hug. I mean, it's just so strange and inappropriate. It really is like she's not even human. She's AI, and somebody told her that real humans like to hug, so now she just hugs everybody. And next comment is from Mark. Winnie Wallace, who did your hair, Megsy? Should I ever be visiting New York, we'll definitely give them a miss. I think most of us would. And a comment from Tracy, they need a 7-vehicle escort to drive them straight to a psychiatric hospital for check-in. She's already wearing the straitjacket. It is very convenient, we gotta admit. And Beverly, it's not Archwell's event, they just muscled themselves into the event. A month ago, they weren't even on the publicity leaflet. And then George, it's almost torture hearing about these two all the time. This should have ended long ago. At this point, they are both despicable. I would say that it is torture, it's not even almost torture. And then Sassy Cat, Smirky and Jerky, ooh, I like those names. Smirky and Jerky need to look closer to home with regards to mental health issues. Who in their right mind hires gas-guzzling SUVs that don't even resemble the real thing just to appear important? The Daily Fail report is full of misinformation, which is what the gruesome twosome apparently loathe. Apparently, if it's in their favor, it's okay, though. Well, yes, because that's the problem with their whole campaign against misinformation or disinformation or whatever. Who determines what exactly qualifies as misinformation? Those two. And then user ET, a straight jacket with white pants and a microphone in New York for old Megan. Then a toxic word salad shoved down your throat regardless if you want it or not, deliberately making you sick to the core. Great summary. Next comment is from Maricom. They give a lot of mental problems to those near them. As for security, William was able to jog in Central Park. Again, this was a serious occasion, not time to dress for a movie premiere. I don't even think that outfit would have been good for a movie premiere, honestly. More like a long stay at a hospital for the criminally insane. And then Kim is there agreeing, and we've got Cecilia. It's because she never gets invited to a movie premiere, so she wears one of the pre-ordered clothes in her closet for the just in case she gets an invite. I can imagine that. I bet she has an entire closet filled with clothes that she's just waiting to wear for when she gets those invites that never ever come. And then Cheryl, she has no class, just crass. They must have been terrified because of the last time in New York, maybe it would be 20 miles per hour. You know, they were so scared. And then we got Annette. They don't deserve escorts, of course they don't. And Christina, they are the ones who need mental treatment. Well, that's obvious. Annette, NYPD has no power, cannot refuse security, can say no to Harry, but not to Meghan. And then Cecilia also NYPD escort. NYC thinks they are that important. Well, Cecilia, I'm sure that you were happy to read, like me, that in fact, they didn't have those NYPD escorts. They were Ubers or hired SUVs or something. But no, that was not the NYPD, thank goodness. And the next comment we got comes from Noelle. Harry looked miserable. Meghan Markle was in her glory. She had the microphone in her hand. Well, yeah. And then Faye, mental health, she certainly dresses like she has a problem. Lila, that's right, Meghan, the internet is not going away. So your kid's gonna see everything about you two. I hope they do. They're not real, but if they were real, they would find everything about their parents. And then Fran, has anyone heard how much they were paid to be there? You know they didn't do it for free. They do nothing for free. And we got a comment from HR. Was it a serious panel discussion or a cocktail party? Totally inappropriate as usual. That is what we have come to expect from her for a good reason. And Meredith says, it wasn't an NYPD escort. Different cars and plates than every other escort. They paid for the 7 cars. Yes, I believe that too. And we've got JMA. What the heck is she wearing this time? My mental health is declining just seeing them. Mary, they never had an escort hired Uber drivers. Yep, that sounds like it's what happened. And Sally, I am so tired of these two. If motherhood is Meghan's most important job, then stay at home with your children. Everyone is so over the two of you. 7 security cars, really, you aren't that important. Once again, your choice of clothing for this event was just so wrong. The outfit looks like a costume from the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, didn't it though? And Kathleen, the only sad thing about Harry and Meghan Markle, you can clearly see neither has any joy in life. That is so sad to me. No joy, no hope, or for joy. Very sad. It is sad. I almost feel sorry for them, but then I remember everything they've done and how all of this is really their fault, their lack of joy in life. They can't blame anybody but themselves for that. And then Erlinda, don't forget the heavy makeup. Very confident. She knew she's looking amazing due to plastic surgery. She probably did her makeup herself. I guess these days they're running out of money, so she probably couldn't afford to pay anybody. And then a comment from Janie. Good Lord, what was with the outfit at the Mercy School? It looked like a $1996 Halloween costume from Walmart. Then what was with the beach towel wrap on the panel? The old expression, your mama dressed you funny, comes to mind. These two speaking at all regarding mental health is scary. Harry and Meghan should be first in line for treatment. And then Alex, the police escort was for the Surgeon General, not Harold and fraud. I am beginning to believe this story even more. And then Angela, her trolls are the meanest on the internet, threatening to harm people, to take people's lives. This woman should not have a microphone to talk about anything to children. Thank you so much for all of your comments, guys. Once again, there aren't even really words to express how grateful I am to you guys who keep coming back day after day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for commenting. Now I've got to say goodbye, but you know I'll be back to see you soon in the next videos. And please don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you don't miss the latest videos. Goodbye now, and I hope you have a wonderful day.